Hello, my Forge faithful. Three keys to the match presented by Volkswagen Forge FC hosting York United, the first of three matches in 9 days at home for Forge FC. It all starts on Saturday. York officially eliminated from playoff contention, but still plenty to play for as individuals, as players. They have careers, livelihoods to think of, plenty of motivation for them without the playoffs involved. And perhaps not having to think about the playoffs makes them even looser. It removes that pressure. Maybe it makes them more dangerous. Forge FC, 4 points out of first place. They still need to win to clinch a playoff spot, but we know Forge has plans bigger than just making the playoffs, and they can really put themselves in a great position the higher they finish in that top four, of course. So they're looking to finish in first place. Right now they're in second. First step will be to get 3 points against York, a club that beat them at home not very long ago. And head coach and technical director Bobby Smirniotis called it one of the worst efforts from his club in franchise history. So you know they'll be looking to rectify that. Here are the three keys for Forge FC as they head into this 9:05 derby against York United. Key number one for Forge FC. Feed off the fans. You know how much energy this club gets from the fans. If you haven't yet, you go out, purchase your tickets. There's a value pack available where for $99 you can get 4 tickets and a $25 gift card to spend at Tim Hortons Field. That's for this match against York, and it's also applicable to the match against Pacific midweek. But if you can get out there, believe me, it helps. It helps a lot. And the players, coaches will be the first to tell you that. But what is it in terms of being a key to the match? You can Forge fans. There's a way you can really inject some energy into these players, and the players can feed off of it. The best way to feed off the fans is to start fast. Give the fans reason to be in the match from start to finish. Start quick, play with that tempo, that energy, that trademark tempo that Forge is known for, that possession game, that attacking game, and start early. An early corner, an early chance, early goal, an early crossbar. Just get the fans up and ready, and the best way to do that will be to start fast. So the fans, feed off the fans. Key number one for Forge FC, and they're happy to be home. Wubens Pacius, Forge attacker, talked about it in his pre-match media conference, just how glad the club is to be playing these 3 matches at home.
Yeah, of course. It's been a while since we played here, so to be back in front of our crowd and to finish the season, that we can still finish first of the table. So of course it's exciting, and we are all prepared for these nine few next days.
All right, Wubens Pacius helping us illustrate why key number one is so important. Feed off the fans was that key. Key number two for Forge FC against York. Bell to bell. Think of this as a prize fight, because that's how this game will likely play out. York loves beating Forge at Tim Hortons Field. I can tell you firsthand, I was at field level at the conclusion of that last match between York and Forge, and I can tell you when that final whistle went, you would have thought York won the championship. They were so happy, so pumped to be beating Forge on the road. So Forge knows this, and bell to bell means you gotta end the way you finish. They started well against York in that match that they lost. They didn't end well. I mentioned Bobby called it one of the worst matches in the franchise's history, and he reiterated that in his pre-match media conference. Bobby just talked about how poorly Forge played, and also what went wrong in that match and why playing bell to bell or whistle to whistle is so important.
Yeah, watching back the game, because it's something we look at a little bit as a guide for this one. It was probably, one of the, worst matches, CPL matches that we've played in our existence. And we've created a lot of good attacking moments, but after we've gone down 2-1, we've basically given up on the game, and that's not characteristic of our guys. That's something we've talked about, and you need to make sure that you don't repeat that. You need to keep the rhythm in a good way in our favor. We need to make sure we keep the lines condensed. What we've seen with York in their last games, they play wide open games with the opponents. It's a lot of transition football, and I think that's something that suits their style and suits them having a lot more spaces from defensive line to the attacking line. It's not something that we usually bring to the pitch for our opponents, so we need to make sure we're doing that tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and I feel like I've noticed this more than just that one time this season. It's very uncharacteristic of Forge, but when they've given up a goal, for whatever reason, they just don't look like the same team that started the match. Are they getting impatient? Are they starting to force things that they don't normally? Forge is at their best when they're playing. Yes, they're playing with tempo. Yes, they're playing with speed, but there's a patience that's involved in that. There's not a lot of forcing. There's not a lot of turnovers. Things are just smooth and snappy and instinctual, right? We've talked about playing instinctual. That's when Forge is at their best. And it's playing that way regardless of what the score is. If you've given up a goal, if you've scored a goal, playing that same Forge style from start to finish will be a big key for Forge FC in knocking off York, because as a club that doesn't have anything to play for in terms of the standings, York isn't really going to be demoralized by giving up a goal. It doesn't bother them as much because there's not as much at stake. You can bet that York is going to play the full 90. Forge has to match that. And it's not just playing, it's playing consistently, playing the same style you started with. That's key number 2, bell to bell in this prize fight. Key number 3 for Forge FC. Let's get clinical. That finish, that final touch, that finishing touch, it's been missing. It has not been where we've seen it, especially mid-season. I mean, remember when Forge, they were averaging almost 3 goals a match during that middle stretch of this season. I mean, it looked like the pace they were going at, we were going to see some just unworldly stats at the end of the season. Now, things leveled off, which I guess is expected because this is a very difficult league to win in when you're playing the same teams over and over again. So, here's what I'll say. In order for Forge to get those goals, they're in position to score. They're getting themselves in good position. That final touch, it's missing, and also it looks like there's one too many touches. There's the decisiveness isn't there. The fluidity isn't there. So when I talk about getting clinical, when you get your chances, even if it's a first touch, if it's a second touch, it has to be a goal. You have to score in these opportunities. The last match Forge played against Edmonton that ended in a draw, there were so many golden opportunities. And in this sport, the difference between a post and a goal or a goalie stopping a goal, it's so big. It completely changes the complexion of the game. And, Forge weren't able to capitalize on those early chances, and they just didn't get any more, at least not to the quality they had early. So get clinical, finish your chances, stop thinking. When we've seen Woobens Pacius, for example, at his best, I don't know that I've seen a player in this league as good as him. When he's on, his first touch, his turn and shoot, it's unstoppable because it's so quick and it's indefensible. Bring that back. Get that clinical finish back. And I'm not just singling out Woobens. That was the example of someone who can be a clinical finisher, is to get clinical. And that goes for all of the Forge forwards. All right. Listen, you've heard enough from me. It's time to play the game. It's time to play the game. It sounds like Triple H is about to make his entrance with Motorhead playing here. If you have not yet, and you're looking to purchase a ticket this week, you have 3 opportunities, right? Because you have 3 matches in 9 days. But specifically for those next couple of matches, a great feature here, an amazing promotion on behalf of Forge for $99. I kind of talked about this earlier, but I just want to give you a little more depth here. $99 get you 4 tickets and a $25 Tim Hortons Field Rewards card that can be spent at the stadium. So we're looking at like $125 value here for $99, and it's available just for the next 2 matches against York and against Pacific. So that's October 1st and October 5th. 2 opportunities to head out to the match. Also, if you're going to this match against York, you can see firsthand Dominic Samuel get recognition for playing 100 matches as a member of Forge FC. So many reasons to get down to Tim Hortons Field, not the least of which is Forge competing for a playoff spot and for top spot on the Canadian Premier League table. I will be there, and I want to see you there.
Forge FC is ready, and now you are too. This has been 3 Keys to the Match on the Forge Audio Network. Keep up to date on your Forge FC by subscribing to the Forge Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.